Hello my guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. So it is the last week of November, and if you don't know yet, at the end of every month, I draw a drawing kind of based on that month. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 3,000 subscribers by mid-January for my 1-year YouTube anniversary, so please subscribe so we can make it happen. And on with the video. So the first thing I thought of when trying to come up with an idea for November was Thanksgiving, but I really didn't want to do anything Thanksgiving related. Next month's video, there's no way I can avoid making it based around a holiday, and last month's video was also based around a holiday. And Thanksgiving is also only an American holiday, so I didn't really want to make it all about Thanksgiving. So then my next thought was about how everyone starts celebrating the Christmas season in November. Then I'm like, no, next month there will be enough Christmas related stuff in that video. I'm not making 2 Christmas related drawings. But besides that, I didn't really know what else to think about November. The only good part about it is Christmas is coming up, and then there's also food. What else do you want from November? But I did realize I haven't done any drawing that's just related to fall. The drawings I've done for the fall seasons were not related to fall itself. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna do some sort of fall drawing. Then I had to ask myself the question of what happens in fall. Things get kind of cold, animals leave, leaves start falling, and that's where I finally start to get some ideas. So I had a leaf pile one time, because usually my yard doesn't have that many leaves, and I was never the kind of kid who liked to play outside. When I did have a leaf pile, it was very meager and kind of sad. We didn't do much with it. But I know that it is I guess a cliche, I don't know. A lot of kids like to play in leaf piles. So I decided to do something surrounding that. So I'd have one kid hiding in a leaf pile, the other trying to find him, and they're playing hide and seek or something. And then there's an ambiguous parent raking in the background or something. So with this vague concept, I got started. I started by sketching out a house in the background, so it would seem like they're kind of in the side yard of a house. And then I sketched out the pile of leaves, since all the other placements would be centered around that pile of leaves. Then I put someone breaking, aka I just drew a rake. And then I sketched out a little kid, his hand over his eyes, looking around, trying to find the other kid. So the first thing I had to figure out is how on earth I was going to draw this leaf pile, because God knows I was not going to draw thousands of individual leaves. I guess it probably wouldn't have been thousands, but I wasn't going to do it, okay? So instead I decided that I was going to make an outline of the pile, have it be kind of lumpy and all that. Draw some blobs that we can pretend are leaves around it, so there's some more individual leaves around. And then just have blobs of color in the huge leaf pile that are supposed to represent leaves. It seemed like it was going to be good enough, so I sketched out the outline and did some. I was very lazy with the individual leaves because, like I said, I was not in the mood for drawing hundreds of little leaves, so they are very messy. Some of them aren't closed all the way. They're a mess, but it's fun. I figured the color would hide it well enough when I add it. Then I tried to draw the rake, and I had to look up a reference, and I'm like, dang, there's a lot more, what are they called? Prongs? Sure, there's a lot more prongs on a rake than I thought. I didn't know how on earth I was going to make a lovely, beautiful rake, so I kind of made it a bit messy on purpose. Not all of the prongs are the same bend, and they're not the same length. They're not spaced out equally. It's kind of a scuffed rake, but I tried to make it look semi on purpose. And then I outlined the kid that was going to be searching for the other kid, and they look a bit wonky. I mean, I guess the face is kind of bad, but I guess it can be seen as kind of goofy in a charming way. It looks kind of silly and messed up, but it could look intentional. And it kind of was. It gets worse after I highlight the eye and all that, but it looked okay-ish. The head shape's also weird, but that's hidden by the hat. And then that arm, the arm that's like holding the hand over his face. The hand is bad, first of all. It's tiny. I don't know what's going on there. It's a mess. But the arm is also like the other arm is so thick and that one's just skinny. Yeah, I got pretty lazy when drawing the kid, I won't lie. I was just excited, well, not excited, but I just wanted to get to that leaf pile so I could get it done with. This kid was, even though an important part of this, I wasn't caring too much about him. Also, I did put him in like winter gear because where I live, fall is very cold. You know, there's a good chance on most Halloweens that you'll get snow. So when I think of fall, it's also like the time you start breaking out all the winter gear and all that. So I wanted to show that a bit with this kid's outfit. Then I drew the fence and the house, and I had to readjust everything a bit because I think I forgot how fences connect to a house and how that perspective would work. But in the end, the house in the background actually looks pretty good. The fence looks pretty good. I'm like okay with what is there. Typically, I'm really scared about drawing like houses in the background in any sort of neighborhood architecture and stuff because I don't really draw stuff like that a lot. So it's kind of scared to me to have to do that. And especially when it's just a background element, so it seems so easy to just not include. But I tried to push myself, and I think it added a lot to this drawing. Then when it came to coloring, I wanted everything to be like fall colors, so greens, browns, reds, yellows, oranges, like the color of fallen leaves. That is a lot of colors, but I felt like that would make the color palette a bit more focused, you know? So I made the main kid that we can see and isn't hiding in the leaf pile. I should give them like names or something so I can talk about them easier. Okay, this guy's George. So George, I made him mainly all red colors. There's some yellow in his skin and his hair, but everything else I made red since the background is mainly green from the grass, so I figured that would pop out well, make him stand out. Then I got started on the leaf pile. I don't know how I did it, but I did accidentally color over the rake when doing the leaf pile. We're not gonna question it, but I did have to redraw the rake after doing the leaf pile. So I just selected the inside of the leaf pile and gave it a base color of yellow because I don't know, that's the color I felt like making the base, and I wanted to add something to the backgrounds before doing all the swatches so that I wouldn't have any gaps of the green from behind it. Then I added in all the colors and I wasn't liking how it looked. At this stage, it's very yellow. Part of me thinks there's too much green, part of me thinks there's not enough green. They're also all very similar saturation, so that might be part of the problem. I think what really would have helped is I totally forgot about adding any sort of brown leaves. So I think if I had added in some nice desaturated brown leaves, it would have really helped that leaf pile. But of course, I never thought about that and totally forgot about brown leaves. Like the idiot I am. So I wasn't happy with the leaf pile, but I figured I'd move on anyway. It was good enough and something along the line would probably make it better, right? Then I started adding in some grass texture. I had to do like 4 different layers of grass textures since I had like the kid on one layer, the house on one layer, the leaf pile on another layer. There were a lot of different layers of grass textures because I wanted some of the grass to be behind things and some of it to be like overlapping it a bit. Like the fence, I wanted the grass inside the fence not to go over the front fence but to go over the back fence. Then I want some grass in front of that fence to be overlapping. You know, having that overlapping of the grass just adds a lot of dimension to the drawing. I think it makes things look like they're actually in the grass. But let's be real, every time I draw this grass, these people need to mow their lawns better because there's some long grass in there and it is uneven as heck. Like, whoever this adult raking is, after you get these leaves done, go get your lawnmower. So for my grass texture, what I usually do is take the base color of the grass that I already had, and then I add in lines of a lighter color and then darker color to try and make it seem like there's actually grass there. And besides the fact that the grass is always way too long, I think it adds a lot more simple dimension to the background. Then we move on to shading. Now, I was really lazy with the shading. I just kind of shaded very lazily underneath the kid and like some of the leaves, the rake, the leaf pile, fence, the house. Then I did a very bad job at like blending it out, but I was well aware that I did a bad job. Then I lowered the opacity on that layer and it was still kind of harsh, especially around the house, but it was good enough. I also added another layer of shadow beneath the kid to try and make it fade out more, so it'd go from this dark color underneath him to a lighter color. It didn't really work, but well, I tried. And then I quickly shaded the kid. I was a bit less lazy with him. I did try and make sure things were blended out more, but I was still pretty quick and simple. I also added a white outline around him to try and make him pop out more. In the end, it does kind of work, but not as much as I had hoped. I also added in some shine to all his stuff since like all the material he's wearing, like with the coat, the boots, and the pants, I also imagined might even be like snow pants. Though most people don't start breaking out snow pants in fall. But I imagine all the clothes you're wearing was that kind of material, like wind resistant, and those are usually very shiny. So I tried to make the material more apparent by doing that. And then I started shading the other kid. All I had to do was their eyes and do like some shading to show more shadow from the leaf pile. Then I wasn't happy with the leaf pile still, so I thought maybe if I add darker colors of all the leaf colors to try and show like maybe there's more dimension in it, it might help. So I selected dark colors of all the leaf colors I had, added those in, then added back in the brighter colors of leaves so that in the background now it would be darker leaves. I think I liked it when I had a lot less of the bright leaves on top of them, so like the darker leaves were showing more. I think I liked it when I had done that, but then I kept messing with it and going overboard, and the dark leaves kind of got lost. You can still kind of see them, but they're not very apparent. Then George, was it George or Georgie? I think I named him George. George wasn't popping out enough, so I tried to make the background darker, so I added a black overlay over it. Then I also messed with the kids' eyes more because I wanted them to be more apparent, so I gave them some shine. I added in the whites of the eyes because I decided that they weren't popping out enough without it. Then I also added in a black overlay over those eyes because, you know, leaves casting shadow onto them. And it was pretty much done. I'm okay with this drawing. It's meh. A lot of things didn't pop out well, like George, and really I would prefer a more desaturated background, and you know, the kid looked kind of weird. I should put more effort into making him look right, I guess. And then the leaf pile, I also wish that I had been a bit more sparing with the bright leaf colors so I could have more variation. And I wish I'd also thrown in brown leaves in there, but the drawing's fine. That's all I can ask. Just, it's good enough. Anyway, if you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and comment down below what you think of when you think of November, since I had such a struggle with that. Also, make sure you're following all my social media. They're in the description below. I have a Twitter and Instagram, and I post on there at least once a week, so go follow them. And I will see you all next